Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is use. Let's look at some definitions. The first is to take or hold something as a means of accomplishing a purpose. The second definition is to take or consume an amount from a limited supply. And a third definition is to take unfair advantage of. You might hear this being described as someone using another person. So this could mean that someone is being very nice or kind to one person in hopes of getting something or getting access to someone else. That's what that definition pertains to. Use is a regular verb. To make the progressive, we need to drop the E before we add ing. And for the past tense and participle forms, all we need to do is add D since the verb already ends with an E. Let's look at some phrasal verbs that use. The first is use as, and it means to employ someone or something to serve a specific purpose. One way I've heard this used is use the medicine as directed. Another phrasal verb you might hear is use before or use by. You might see this stamped on some of the food or medicine that you purchase. And it means to finish using a product before a particular date. Here it is in an example sentence. The milk should be used by April 20th. Another phrasal verb is use something for, and it means to employ something for a purpose. Here it is in a sentence. Are you using these plates for the party? Finally, another phrasal verb you might hear is use up. It means to use something until none is left. I used up all the pepper while cooking. Connected to this verb use is another phrase that I thought might be useful for us to talk about today, and that is used to. When we combine used to with another base verb, we are describing either a repeated past activity, so this could be a past habit, or a situation that is no longer true in the present. So here are some examples. I used to play piano. She used to have short hair. So the first sentence is describing a past activity. And the second sentence is describing a situation that is no longer true. And it's very common to hear native speakers pronounce this phrase as used to. Used to. I used to play piano. She used to have short hair. If you want to make a negative statement with this, you can do that two different ways. You might hear someone say never used to and then a base verb, or they might say didn't used to and a base verb. I want you to pay attention that there is no D here when we use didn't. Okay? But the pronunciation is going to stay the same no matter how we spell it here. So listen to these sentences. They never used to study. They didn't used to live in Iowa. Let's continue practicing the verb use, and this time we're going to practice simple present active voice and simple present passive voice. Yesterday's video contains more examples and a description of the passive voice, so don't be afraid to check out the video on advise if the passive is new to you. So for simple present active voice, we're going to leave the base verb just as it is for the subjects I, you, we, and they. Here's an example sentence. We use this brand of shampoo. If the subject is he, she, or it, we need to add an S to the base verb. He uses this brand of shampoo. In the negative, we're going to use do not or does not and the base verb to have an active voice sentence. I don't use the dryer when it's warm. She doesn't use the dryer when it's warm. If we want to make a yes or no question in the simple present in active voice, we're going to use do or does, then the subject, then the base verb. Here are a couple examples. Do you use sugar in this recipe? Does he use sugar in this recipe? Now let's look at passive voice. And to make this, we're going to move our objects from the previous sentences, the things that receive the action, to the beginning of the sentence. Then we're going to use a present form of be and then the past tense form. When we use the past tense form here, our pronunciation is going to be used. Okay? Let's look at the affirmative. This brand of shampoo is used. Or, if we have more than one, these brands of shampoo are used. If we want to make the negative, we're going to add not right after the be verb. The dryer isn't used when it's warm. Or, if our object is plural, like in the next sentence, we'll use are not. Dryers aren't used when it's warm. If we want to make a question in simple present, but in passive voice, we're going to change the order. Is sugar used in this recipe? Are beans used in this recipe? Finally, today, let's take a look at some related words. The first thing I want to point out is as you look at the noun I have listed, it looks exactly the same spelling, but the pronunciation is different. The verb is use, so I'm making a Z sound towards the end of the word. The noun is going to be pronounced use, use, and it means the act of putting something into service. Here's an example sentence. Here's the proper use for this tool. Another noun you might hear is usage. It means the action of using something, the customary way of doing something. In an example sentence, internet usage has increased during the pandemic. An adjective you might hear is used. Notice how I'm pronouncing that. It's with a D sound. It means having already been used. An example sentence, I love shopping at used bookstores. Another adjective you might hear is unused. And remember, UN at the beginning of a word generally means not. So unused means not being or never having been used. So either something is not currently in use or it never has been. We are returning the unused equipment. Thanks for watching today's video. Feel free to practice some of your sentences in the comments and I'll check them out and give you feedback. Have a great day.